All
righty.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Town Board meeting, January 11th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. You could all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're going to refer to our packet, Michelle, and
Okay.
I see we're in receipt of monthly reports, and as I was just stating, I'd like to invite Dave Makish, our Code Enforcement Officer and Building Inspector, to give this report.
Hey, Dave, you can unmute yourself.
I have to unmute the call-in users, Michelle.
Okay, that's separate. Okay.
Have you identified which caller he is?
Hey, Dave, you can unmute yourself. Maybe go on. I don't know if you want to go on to the next item.
Can somebody text him and see if you can identify what caller he is?
Well, he's a call-in user, but we haven't identified which one. That's.
I thought he was 7.
57?
He's number 2. I kept track of.
Oh, number 2. Okay. Dave, are you there?
You can't unmute him. I can't either.
Okay. You ought to be able to unmute his phone.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Thank you.
You can unmute with *6.
Okay, Dave, did you hear that? Press *6.
Yeah, and then
yes,
I'll try to mute myself again. Otherwise, Michelle, mute me.
Okay.
All right, looks like he's caller 4.
Thank you. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, are you mic check?
Okay. Let me do this. Let me unmute everybody so Dave could speak.
I think I just heard him or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
4. Okay.
I'm not sure what happened there. I kept hitting *6. You guys couldn't hear me. Okay, just to give an update, I've been going every week to the Southfields resident that had the unregistered vehicles. This Sunday, Councilman McMillan accompanied me. He wanted to see it for himself. We went out there. They went from 44 cars down to 28 vehicles, and he did provide paperwork for all the vehicles. They are registered in Vermont, but they are registered, and he will provide copies of these registrations if asked to do so, and I'm going to continue to monitor the situation. But as of right now, everything on his property is registered. And
How many vehicles can he have on his property?
I don't think we have a limit. You can ask. The code does not specify a limit of registered cars on a property. I think Howard had more information on that, how many cars could be state of New York on a property. I don't know if there's a limit.
Yeah, there isn't a limit. The question really arises from having that many cars is whether he's conducting a business on the property, and if so, whether that's permitted under the zoning for that piece of property.
It doesn't appear to be a business. It appears that he collects cars. So
Dave, I understand in conversation with you earlier today that you feel like there's been a lot of headway, and I understand that in speaking with the family there, that they're still working on removing some more cars, and I think you said you were gonna check in another 2 weeks and see where we're at, and that um, is that accurate?
Yes, as I explained to you earlier, he had originally 44, he got rid of it. He's down to 28. His son and him were pointed out 12 cars that will be leaving the property where their intentions are. He actually had people coming there as we were leaving. He had said he had people later in the week. So I was going to continue to monitor, but his goal is to try to be a good neighbor and get rid of a lot of his vehicles.
So I would petition the town board at this time, although we had a deadline set of today. I think substantial progress has been made. Dave is outlining further action that's expected to be taken in the next couple of weeks. Dave, I just asked that you give us an update in 2 weeks, and we could review the action further. As of right now, I would not recommend that the town board take any action to remove any further cars, since there has been substantial compliance, and it sounds like we're on a path to full compliance, and that's what the town board is expecting. But if it's okay with the town board, I'd like to just state that we'll extend this another 2 weeks. I see Jay, thumbs up. Maria, thumbs up. Michelle, thumbs up. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dave. Anything else you wanted to add to your report? That was the main one we wanted to get an update on.
No, that was the main one. There were two. There was another personal residence that had a junk car, but they did get rid of it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We have a very full agenda, so I appreciate your concise report. I see the chief is on, and I did meet with the chief earlier this week and last Friday, and we're planning an activity on Thursday. But Chief, why don't I turn the mic over to you? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I just want to mention a letter of commendation two of my officers received, Gerard Shiloh and William Hall. They assisted a Village of Tuxedo Park officer who's just graduated from the academy and fresh on the streets. It was a very stressful call with a subject with a mental health history. It lasted for over an hour, and our officers de-escalated the situation and was able to transport the person down to Nyack Hospital. So I want to thank the officers. They did a great job in handling it. I was working that day, and I actually went down to Tuxedo Park to their communication dispatch and monitored the call throughout. So I did enclose the letter of commendation from Tuxedo Park Police Chief Dave Conklin with the town board packet. And again, I just want to commend them. They did a great job that day.
I'd just like to speak for the town board to echo that commendation, and definitely evidence of interagency support. Issues that we'll be discussing on Thursday about how we can de-escalate tense situations, and obviously the benefits of detailed training, which are obvious in the way that the officers handled the situation.
Just one question for the chief, please.
Yes.
Do we have any officers that are trained in crisis intervention?
As a trainer, no.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. We did receive a report from, well, we have Melissa Dolbaum, Town Clerk. Let's turn the microphone over to her, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just had a quick update about the 2021 town and county tax process. We're underway. The tax bills did go out, so if anyone at this point has not received it, I can certainly email or mail another copy, or you can go on our website and view and print bills from there. And there was also a letter I received from the Association of Towns just to give the town board information that the annual training will be held virtually this year rather than in person. Typically it's held in Albany, but it all will be virtual. And I have all the information for anyone that's interested in signing up. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're also in receipt of a report from Justice McCatherine. I don't have it up on my computer. Would somebody from the town board possibly have that and be able to read that? I don't believe Justice McCatherine was on this call.
Let's see. The report certification, the amount was $28,675 for the period ending, I think, January 5th.
Yeah, that makes sense. December.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the courts are now in suspension at the moment due to court order, not a court order, executive order. And I'm not really sure when they're expected to reopen. So, but I can say that our town court now is accepting payments by credit card. So that's a great thing. So people who want to settle and settle their fines, reduces traffic in our court and also keeps us, keeps the courts functioning remotely. And I would imagine that also helps contribute to that $28,675 that we received. So that's a real step forward. So thank you. I think that was our report submitted. It's Rob Dolbaum. Although might as well get our highway report also at this time. Do we know if Rob is one of these callers?
Yes, Ken, I'm here.
Hi, Rob.
How are you? Good evening. How you doing?
Great, thank you, sir.
Good. Yes, we're right now we are in tree cutting mode. We picked up where we left off last year on Southgate Road. We are working our way to Eagle Valley Road. Eagle Valley Road out to Long Meadow Road and then up to Laurel Ridge, Quentin Woods area. We're picking up Christmas trees and what have you, and we'll be out chipping brush and chipping all the stuff that people have in front of the yards. If we haven't been there yet, we will be there. If we haven't picked up your Christmas tree, we will get it. We just been a little behind getting everything picked up and everything done at the moment. We're working on getting a few of the trucks back in order because the first couple little snowstorms we had put down 3 trucks. So we're getting them fixed, and that's basically what we have going at the moment.
Thank you, Rob. I know I got a report from O&R about their tree trimming activities that seem to be continuing. I don't have it in front of me. Are you aware of the part of town that they're working on?
Yes, and I plan to meet with them at some point because a lot of the trees that I would like to see trimmed are hanging over the wires and stuff that we cannot trim. We can't go around the wires, we can't trim around the wires, but we're trimming our sides of the road, and so I want to discuss the tree trimming over the wires with them, and I will be in touch with them and go over their what they plan to do.
I know that's kind of a routine thing they do. They notify us when they're doing their trimming down to the specific street levels. And I know you and I have coordinated with them in the past. I understand that they notify all residents on the affected areas. And
yes.
So it seems like it's a well-coordinated effort. So thank you.
Well, if you have a tree that needs to be trimmed in their right of way and it's on your property, you will get a notice from them. And they'll either leave a door thing hanging on your door, they will send you a letter, whatever it is, but you do get notified long before they cut anything on your property, if it's private property. If it's along the roadways, they take the liberty to cut that themselves. So.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty normal. So,
Well, I appreciate the snow clearing effort, and I know we had a nice situation in Laurel Ridge that you guys came out and tended to in a very timely fashion. So, thank you very much.
yes, after the heavy rains, we had a lot of water bleeding out onto the road and freezing. Yeah, so it took a couple days to get that under control. But hopefully everything freezes up and we don't have to worry about it again. So.
Thank you. Deputy Supervisor, did I miss anybody?
No, unless there's someone from the court that has, I think we gave the report.
Yeah, that was what was submitted by Justice Catherine. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move down to the motion about the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular bi-monthly town board meetings held on December 28th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay. Any discussion or edits that you need to recommend? No? Okay, I'm seeing that this is the new official. No. Okay, thank you.
See, Sean. Okay, go ahead. Take that vote.
Dave, did you give me that? No.
I'm good.
Okay, sorry. This is the new signal here. All right. All right, so I'm going to take a roll call vote to accept the minutes. I'm going to start with you, Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Maria May.
Aye.
A. Reichcott.
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay.
Aye.
And myself, Ken English. Aye. Very good. Thank you. Moving down, we have the vouchers. To hear a voice other than mine, do I have a volunteer from the town board to read the claims numbers?
Okay, let me get back to that. Okay, I have the voucher numbers if you want me to read them out.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the vouchers. Claim numbers 201, 291, 7851, 201, 291, 7888. Do I have a second?
Second by Ken.
Thank you, Ken. Seconded by Supervisor Ken English. Maria May.
Does any discussion or
Aye.
questions about any of them?
Any discussion on the
Chance to
vouchers?
review them.
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, that's Dave's signal. Okay, Maria May,
Aye.
Dave McMillan,
Aye.
Jay Reichcott.
Aye.
Thank you. Ken English,
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay. Aye. Thanks.
Town supervisor, town board updates. I have a few items I wanted to update people on. First of all, on the Tuxedo Farms LDC, this is the local development corporation that owns the new sewer plant. And this board has been very active trying to engage with Related, and Andrew Dance, Senior Vice President for Related. We issued a letter seeking a meeting to discuss the process for completing and activating the sewer plant. We asked for a meeting in January. So far, meeting has not been accepted, but we have been in contact by phone between our attorney from Harris Beach, Christopher Andrucci, and we do have our next LDC meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 17th at 10 a.m. This will be a WebEx announced definitely through the LDC, and it will be a publicly available meeting, of course. And so we expect to have concrete response to our petition to Related to, again, seek a pathway forward to opening the sewer plant. So please mark your calendars, Wednesday, February 17th, 10 a.m. via WebEx. It will not be through the town WebEx. It'll be through the Harris Beach WebEx portal, but that will be noticed properly as the date approaches. This Thursday will be the initial meeting of Tuxedo's police reform collaboration. I did send out an invitation both through Marissa's town clerk's list as well as through the Shari's more recreation list. So we put up notices, and so on Thursday, January 14th at 5 p.m., we will have our first meeting through the town's website, WebEx. It's just same process as joining this meeting. This meeting is about community engagement with public safety goals. We're trying to consider how Tuxedo PD can respond to the governor's initiative. And this initiative will definitely dovetail heavily into the Orange County meetings. As a matter of fact, on January 14th, this Thursday, we'll be having an opening session that will lead into participation in the Orange County meeting at 6 o'clock. So our meeting will start promptly at 5. We have some modest goals for our first meeting to introduce people and set goals for our further meetings. But I will be asking everyone to join the Orange County meeting that night. An agenda will be sent out tomorrow, and which would detail everything that we'll be looking to discuss. So far, we have some modest sign up, but hopefully that will build over the next couple of days. So please help me get the word out and join this important community engagement. I met with the chief, with Michelle Lindsay, Lieutenant Norton on Friday, and I think we have a pretty good initial meeting planned and a pathway forward for at least the next 3 or 4 meetings. I'm going to continue. I'm happy to report that the town village consolidation has been officially enacted. That went into effect on January 1st, 2021. The town's website will soon be updated with a summary of what changes have occurred and the rationale for this action. In consultation with Deputy Supervisor Lindsay and our attorneys at Kobowitz and Gubitz, Marissa Weiss, we expect to have a concise update as to what this means for our town and a basic frequently asked question response, and we'll make sure that that's prominently displayed on our website. That's it for my update. Just pass the baton to any of the council people. I'll start with you, Michelle, if you had anything you wanted to update people.
Yeah, okay. I been in contact with Marissa Weiss, and we will be starting to update the report that will go on the website about the town village consolidation. We'll start that tomorrow. Also, for anybody who would be interested in working on our climate smart community task force, we have meetings on the first Mondays at 5:30. Let me know. What else? Moving forward with our economic development groups, different groups doing things. The Parks Outdoor Recreation Events group is working on a couple events for the spring or summer. We have to decide on a date, and then working with the real estate outreach group, marketing group. So anybody who wants to join us, please let me know. That's it for me. Anybody else? Maria?
Nothing for me this time. I just want to just notice the great work that was done in the manuals that were created by Ken and the like the board, whatever the employment practices and the compensation and benefits. It was really great to have that clean and understandable, and so I thank you for that work, Michelle, Ken.
That was work that was done back in 2017 and definitely needed updating. So, all town board members reviewed that over the last week. And
Yeah.
that's what we'll be discussing today. It's just part of the large reorg package that we'll be reviewing in depth. But thank you. It's been a real pleasure working with Michael Richardson. And the updated manuals, I think, really help bring Tuxedo into a better place for local government. So thank you for not acknowledging that, Maria.
Yep.
Jay?
Thanks. I got two items. First, to follow up on some things from the last couple of meetings regarding the Arden Dam emergency plan and what or what not the town has to do with that. First, just to reiterate, the town really has no legal jurisdiction over dams of any kind unless we actually own them, which we don't. Most of that is actually through the state. The town board had approved the moratorium waiver, which is not a approval of the dam. It is merely a procedural item to allow them to move forward with planning board. The planning board has site plan approval. They have given partial site plan approval with conditions. I was working with John Bagno, the head of the planning board on that. One of those conditions is receipt of the emergency plan for the dam. Now, we don't have the final plan. We have only seen a final draft, which still needs to have several names inserted into it, which are names from the dam ownership side. But none of the plans that I've seen or John has gotten as part of the conditions for site plan approval include any responsibility or jurisdiction by the town. And quite frankly, when the final plan shows up, we won't accept it if it has any responsibility, jurisdiction, or liability from the town. Operation of dams is not town business. So that's where that all is. And I mean, we'll see more when we get the final documents. The other item, I got in touch with a representative of Tectonic Engineering, who's a local engineering firm who is working with Verizon. Verizon is still definitely interested in improving service, at least for their network, along the Route 17 corridor. And apparently they're interested in siting towers in town center, somewhere near the train station, and up in Southfields. They said south of the hotel, which I think actually means south of New Forma. But at this point, we're still waiting for them to present the actual sites, and they'll come up with a proposal to present to the town board and the town for, it's like any other project. It'll need zoning approval and planning board approval, et cetera. So it's moving forward. It's slow. Maybe by the end of the year, there'll be towers, but maybe it'll be next year. So if I know more, I'll let you know.
Well, on a similar note, I did drive by the Ren Fair site where the tower was approved. I didn't notice any construction. Do you know anything about that, Jay? Whether that project is still moving forward?
I know nothing.
Okay. I went to where I should have been a line of sight because I know where the balloons, and I did when the tests were being done, I did walk the site. I thought there was some construction happening there, but on a quick drive-by, I didn't see any. But okay, I'll try to find out more about that for next meeting. Thank you, Jay. Councilman McMillan?
Nothing significant, Ken.
Thank you, Councilman. I just wanted to add one more thing I forgot to put in my report. I was working with Howard Prater and Jay Reichgott. We did renegotiate our leases for the properties at Long Meadow Road. I should have had a better tally, but I think our increase in rent will be bringing in about an additional $25,000 annual income. We renegotiated with Ben Veltiti, BVI. He was very amicable, and due to our market analysis, we just basically expressed our concern that we felt that Tuxedo really wasn't getting anywhere near the market value for the property rent. And so his rent went from $1,500 a month to $3,000 a month. So that brings in $18,000 more dollars per year just for his one lease. We have 3 other tenants out there: a small engine repair, a sandblasting business, and an associated business to the BVI wood chip processing. And all of their rents were raised 20%. And we offered them a 1-year lease. Benny Beltiti got a 2-year lease, BVI Incorporated. So we tried to come up with something that would be fair to the town, and the 1-year leases with the other 3 tenants other than BVI will be looked at again in 6 months to see, where we're going with that. So substantial benefit to the town. Thank you. I want to move forward now. We have a very full agenda. Could somebody read the agenda items for tonight?
Sure. The one agenda item is the town reorganization. So if there's anybody that would like to make a comment on that.
Before we open it up to comments, Ken, it was in my email. I don't know if it's stuff we're going to cover, but we got the tax certiorari item from Howard's firm earlier today, and I don't know if we were going to deal with the testing at the dirt pile, or if you want to put that off for 2 weeks.
I'm prepared to deal with that one. You're talking about the HES proposal.
Exactly.
We did also receive another proposal that was reviewed. I think everybody on the town board had a chance to look at those two. To my understanding, I think we received comment from Sean Hoffman that he's recommending, the HES proposal. I think, Jay, you and Sean had some substantial discussion about that. I don't know if you want to apprise us as to what.
I can. I don't know if you want to do it now. I just wanted to know if we wanted to add those to the agenda, and then we can take comment, and then we can deal with it in its time, or however you want to do it.
I think we're on it now. I'd prefer to just get it down.
Okay. We received the 2 proposals. The one from HES had a somewhat larger scope. The one from the other firm, whose name escapes me at the moment, had a more limited scope, pretty much just testing. But when you sort of compare them apples to apples, the price was within a couple $100 of each other. And the services offered in the second proposal were not the sum of what we need to move forward. So it would be my recommendation that we hire HES for what's the phase 1 in their proposal. I think it'd be like a not to exceed $25,000, and then we can work on the larger testing that we would need as an RFP process, because it's going to be significantly more money than that.
That was my understanding as well. Comparing the 2 proposals, the HES was a much more comprehensive plan that takes us into a second phase, optional, of course, and that we would, I think we reviewed the HES proposal at length at our last meeting, and then Councilperson McMillan, reminded us of a second bid that came in, and we reviewed that, and I think that's what we're talking about now, that comparison. I don't know, Dave, if you had any opportunity or chance to, or thoughts about that.
Yeah, I looked at it after some guidance from Jay and realized that second proposal wasn't in the same scope at all as the one we received prior. So I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. If any further discussion needed there?
Just the name of the company was Rolling Rocks Corp, I think.
Rolling Rocks was the company, excuse me, Maria, that was offering to remove the materials.
Okay, so that's the,
Yeah, that was a separate proposal, but unrelated to this HES thing. But that
Okay.
name is correct for the other bid to remove the rocks and the tailings, and that was actually a very scary. No, it's Taylord Environment, Taylord Taylord Environment, and their letter and proposal was back from November. Yeah, thank you, though.
good.
Michelle, did you have any further questions or comments on that?
No, I mean, we went through the HES proposal last time, and as you're all saying, it was very more extensive in scope, and this is just for the first phase, and then we'll have a better idea what the extent of the testing will need to be for the second, or not, the further phases.
Yeah, so just to update people, the town has done extensive screening of materials out at Long Meadow Road. We have 3 very large piles. The screener separates these materials after being bulldozed and moved over to a screening machine that's we rented, and most of the work was done. In fact, all the work was done by Rob Dolbaum's team over the summer. They processed a lot of materials. You'd be estimating, I think it's well over 20,000 yards. We have 3 large piles. We do plan on having a meeting out there for all town residents to update them as soon as the weather gets better and as soon as we have these test results, because that's essential to understanding the magnitude of the problem over there, which is enormous, by the way. At the dumping that occurred there, it's terrible. And we need to, we've been under a consent order for about a decade. The consent order leaves the town viable to up to $3,000 a day fines if we don't tackle this problem. So a lot of work had been done, mostly about the stumps that were out there, and the logs were processed, but the dirt pile itself really hasn't made much progress in 10 years. And so the DEC made it clear to this town board that no material should be leaving there without the kind of analysis that we're paying for. And we'll be paying, as you can hear by this resolution, up to $25,000 just to test these materials to determine where we need to go. So this is a big liability on this town, and it needs to be rectified, and we're working on it. We've made some real serious progress. I know the DEC has expressed satisfaction, more than satisfaction, with what we've been doing out there, and so I think we're on the pathway to correction. But this chemical and this analysis that we're signing on for tonight is absolutely essential to move forward, because we need to start removing some of these materials from the site so we can continue processing. I'll let Jay add anything, or Dave, because I know both of you gentlemen have been involved in this quite a bit.
I just have a comment. Basically, yeah. So let's be careful when we say that not a lot of work was done there, because Benny Veltiti cleared about 2/3 of that pile out of there. We're left with the last phase of it. So that's the one that's been really precarious and tough to get a hold of because of the contamination level there. So just wanted to make sure we had that settled and straight.
Well, I don't know about that last statement. That's up for contention, how much Benny Veltiti did over there. So I'm going to not comment because we're in litigation with Benny Veltiti, right? I mean, Benny Veltiti, no, excuse me. Benny Veltiti did a lot of remediation on the stumps and that kind of work. So yes, excuse me, I do, and that's as a result of why he's there. But we're under a lawsuit with Erwin DiMarino right now, and so I'll not comment on any of that.
Right, agreed. And yeah, I just was pointing at Benny.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that's all I have.
And the only other comment I'll add, it's on a slightly different subject. One of the items that we discussed at the last meeting was the size of the pile and therefore the scope of the first phase contract. And the latest proposal we have includes basically up to 20,000 yards of material. So that covers all of the material we expect to see. And that has a final cost of just about $21,500 for that full scope.
Jay, was there an estimate on the remaining dirt pile? How many cubic yards?
The remaining dirt pile is something on the order of 150,000 cubic yards.
So far we've sorted 20,000 cubic yards about. Or no?
Or maybe more than that. It's a little it's not completely clear. But we've made a small dent in the amount of material. And we'll have more discussions about this later, of course, but one of the things we want to do as a next phase is to set up a real sampling program in situ, as they say, in position of the remaining pile by borings, so that we can get a better handle on what kind of materials we're dealing with and the likely quantities of various types of contaminants or clean areas. That'll give us a chance to look for alternate funding sources or alternate disposal options. Maria's been doing a lot of work, or had done some initial work at least, a lot of it in tracking down possible grants for cleanup. Once we have a real idea of what's in that pile, we'll have a better handle on the best way to remediate it. But this is just, what we're talking about tonight is just the proposal to sample the segregated piles that we have so that we can work to dispose of that stuff.
So I think we had a resolution that we read last time, and not sure if we have that handy so that we can move this item forward.
I don't remember, but I
think
move that we award the phase one contract, the phase one proposal from HES to sample up to 20,000 yards of segregated materials at the site, and that we assign a not to exceed value of $25,000 to that.
I just would add to that as per the specifications in their proposal. And I second that motion. We want to take a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Jay Reichkamp.
Aye.
Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Maria May.
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay.
Aye.
And myself, Ken English, aye. Thank you. That's a very important step towards preparing for our spring continuation of this project. Okay, Jay, there was another item. I think we just crossed one off the list. Was there another item that needed action? I forgot already.
Yes, earlier today, we received there was another tax set.
Oh, search.
Somebody's grieving their taxes,
right?
And and we need to resolve that that Howard's firm represent us, unless we want somebody else to do it. But that's the usual thing. Wait one. It came in earlier today from Sherry. Here we go. Give me one more second, and I will just. Should I share it or just read it? I guess I'll read it.
I think you read it. Yeah.
Okay, wait 1 second. Now I got too many things open. Okay. Whereas the following tax certiorari proceeding has been commenced against the town of Tuxedo to contest the 2020-2021 tax roll. Tuxedo, New York LLC is the entity, index number EF003179-2020. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Tuxedo, Orange County, New York, that the firm of Jacobowitz and Gubitz LLP is hereby authorized to defend the town in the above mentioned case. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
I mean, you want to?
Any further discussion on that? I'm sorry. I don't have any. I think we're authorizing our attorney to represent us, and
Yes.
we have to respond, and we do need legal counsel. And a distinguished Howard Potter is here with us this evening. Howard, is there anything you would add as our counsel to consider on this matter?
No, only just to advise the board that this just arose to everybody's attention, everybody being the assessor, just in the past few days. So this is not one that's been kicking around for a while, but we're jumping on it and responding.
So, in a few words, what's the process from this point? I mean,
so they filed the petition. They commenced what's referred to as an Article 7 proceeding in the Supreme Court, challenging the Board of Assessment and Review's determination. So now we will file an answer, and that means that an issue is joined, and there'll be at some point there'll be an exchange of appraisals, and then it'll get resolved either through negotiation or through direct court action.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Any other further questions? Or should we take a roll call vote? Okay, thank you. Roll call vote on this. I'll start with Jay Reichcott, Councilman Jay Reichcott.
Aye.
Councilperson Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Councilperson Maria May.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay.
Aye.
And myself, Ken English. Aye. Thank you for those two items, Jay. Glad to move them forward.
Yep. I will behave now.
No, you've done splendidly. Okay, I think we're up to
Public comment on the one agenda item,
okay.
which is town reorganization. People can unmute themselves.
It's a very lengthy document, I'd say. So
You can unmute or put a question in the text, in the chat rather, if you'd like.
Michelle, we have to stick to the that one issue, right?
That's it. Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll wait.
I think
you. You can
your
mute
other
me.
issue was addressed by Jay earlier, correct?
Yeah. Yes. There's a sentence that got a little blurry, and I need to ask him. That's all.
Okay.
But if you want to mute me, go ahead. I'll figure out when to do this.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
all right, I'm going to move forward with this reorganization examination with the town board. Everyone should have been in receipt of the most recent update, which was as recently as 4:30 today. I got to tell you, I've spent dozens and dozens of hours working with town board members, but mostly with consultant Michael Richardson. He's a real HR pro, and really has. I learned a lot in this process. I just want to start out by saying, you know, some of the goals of this reorg was to be in complete alignment with civil service titles, regulations, and job descriptions, and much more. I feel that we've made tremendous headway and have accomplished that goal. One thing most important to residents in this reorg will be a restoration of 5 days of service, commencing immediately this week. Town hall will be open 5 days. So I'm happy to report that it's much increased service to our residents. And I know people at town hall are eager to do that as well. We have created a very streamlined template that links information in a clearly arranged document. Hopefully that will be evidenced this evening. I'll be pointing out some of the improvements to this document as we go through each item. We will be formally activating our employment practices compliance manual and our compensation and benefits manual that Maria May spoke about earlier. Both of those manuals have been updated up to today and will be the basis for how we conduct business at Town Hall for employees. We also put together a pay grade and schedule for all positions that links together the whole civil service along with our pay scale and grade in here in Tuxedo. And we also did a very detailed medical insurance census that really highlights the expenses that our benefits package related to health insurance costs the town, and makes it really transparent to see how we can monitor those costs as we go forward. So that's just a brief introduction that really doesn't even comprehensively talk about all the work that's gone into this. But I don't know if somebody wants to share their screen and make this document available. And then I guess you might have to set the screen so you just see the person who's disclosing this, who's displaying this, probably is a better word.
Let me see if I can do it. You want this document, right? The reorg?
It's called the Reorg Resolution 2011, January 11th at 4:30. So
I have, when you want to refer to it, Ken, I have the pay schedule up on my screen that I could share. If Maria's going to share
Okay.
the reorg.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
think we're just going to launch through the reorg right now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I'll wait for Maria to get that up so everybody can see it.
Have you got it, Maria?
I'm getting it. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought I saved it open, but I didn't. So if you have it, that's good.
In theory.
One of those tabs.
Yeah, I thought that it was one of those tabs.
You got it up. If you could
Okay.
enlarge it in any way, that would be great.
Say
Yeah.
when.
Oh, that looks real good.
Yeah.
Oh, even better.
All right. So, fall.
Okay. Reorganization meeting document. It's about 9 pages, and we're going to go through it. So, Office of the Town Supervisor. So, first of all, you could see we've arranged things according to different offices. This is part of the reorg that falls under my office. As per town law, the supervisor, as an elected official, appointed the following positions. Deputy Supervisor, which is an unclassified position, Michelle K. Lindsay. Budget Officer, Kenneth English. And Secretary to the Supervisor, which will be a full-time civil service exempt position to be announced. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that the hourly wage for the Secretary to the Supervisor, Civil Service number 1576, exempt position, is $32.37 per hour for 30 hours per week, 1,560 hours annually. Budget code A1220 for $50,497.20. I'm going to use this to highlight what a formula that we're doing throughout this document. That first of all, that title, Secretary to the Supervisor, is a recognized civil service title as exhibited by that number 1576. That actually equates to a job description that's available on the Civil Service website and through the Civil Service Board. All of these job descriptions need to be approved by the Civil Service. No job descriptions can just be made up by a town and instituted. And that's one of the things we're trying to clean up here, that every job that's in the town of Tuxedo has an approved job description through civil service. And that's the formula we have here. So when we have our website fully up and functional, all this information, not only the reorg document, but links to these job titles, job descriptions, the budget that goes along with it. So you can see the budget code A1220 will link you back to where you find in the budget how these positions are funded. I'm going to pause for a second and see if any town board member has a question about any of that. I know we were reviewing it.
No.
No, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to move forward to the next resolution. Resolved that Brian Sullivan is reappointed to the part-time position of account clerk in the office of the town supervisor. Again, this is civil service job description number 1001, which is non-competitive, at the hourly rate of $32.37 per hour for 30 hours per week, 1,560 hours annually. The budget code funding this will be A1220 for $50,497.20. Moving forward, under the office of the town clerk, as per town law, the town, I'm going to point out, we intentionally tried to make sure that this is not only an informational document, but also one that instructs. So pointing out that as per town law, the town clerk, as an elected official, appointed the following positions. So these are positions that are, this is a position that's appointed by the town clerk in concurrence with town law, following town law. So deputy town clerk / deputy registrar, part-time, this is a civil service exempt position, and that job is to be announced, the candidate that would fill that. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolution and moved its adoption. Resolved that the hourly wage rate for deputy town clerk, again, the civil service job description number 1215, which is an exempt position, is $18.36 per hour for 18 hours per week, which yields 936 hours annually. Again, the budget code for this is A1410, and the total amount allocated is $17,184.96. Again, a lot of work went into this to coordinate between civil service, our budget, job descriptions, and which also will lead to concrete schedules for town hall and town employees. Building department. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that David Makish is reappointed to the part-time position of Building Inspector 3, Civil Service number 1104, which is a competitive position, at the hourly rate of $40.61 per hour for 30 hours per week, which yields 1,560 hours annually. The budget code for that would be found under B3620, and the total allocation for that, as per our budget, is $63,345.67.
Question,
Go ahead, please.
really quick. Building Inspector 3, is it going up to that from 2, or was it always 3?
We've been approved for civil service Building Inspector 3 for as far back as I can tell.
Okay.
So when we get our, I forget the exact name of this document, but it's basically the approved list from civil service that tells what's our menu of approved titles. It even gives you the date, Dave, when those titles were approved. So this one goes back quite a ways. Obviously, Dave Makish has been in this position for quite a while, but that is the recognized title on our inventory. So we've been investing. Thank you. Appreciate the question. Moving forward, still under building department, resolved that Deborah Villanueva is reappointed to the full-time position of project coordinator for the building department, planning board, and zoning board of appeals. This is civil service title number 1488, which is non-competitive, at the hourly rate of $32.37 per hour for 35 hours per week, 1,820 hours annually. The budget code you map this back to is B3620 for $58,913. Again, following that same standard layout of linking to civil service, budget, hours, and annual hours. Highway Department. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolution and moved its adoption. Resolved that the wage rates of bargaining unit employees in the highway department are as negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, excuse me. There will be a link to the collective bargaining agreement. I'm working with Marissa Dolbaum to accomplish that. We'll have the latest contract there, and again, trying to make it easy for anybody to be able to connect the dots between these contracts and this resolution. And that will also be all easily accessible through our town website. So great work on getting our town website updated, and it will be the repository for all of this information. So people can just click on it, get it, link back to our budget, and really put the puzzle pieces together very easily. Okay. Does somebody else want to read here? Because my voice is getting a little crackly, and I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I can read.
Thank you,
Other
Maria.
town offices. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that the employee to be appointed later to the part-time position of clerk, recreation coordinator, civil service competitive, pending approval from Orange County Civil Service at the hourly rate of $23.31 per hour for 30 hours per week, 1,560 hours annually. Budget code A1220 for $36,363.60. This position may be assigned when needed to provide clerical support to the Highway Department, Building Department, Office of the Town Supervisor, and other town departments. Resolved that Michelle Reed is reappointed to the part-time position of clerk, civil service, number 1165, non-competitive, is at the hourly rate of $18.36 per hour for 15 hours per week, 780 hours annually. Budget code A5010 for $14,320.80. This position is assigned to the Highway Department and may also be assigned when needed to provide clerical support, Building Department, Office of the Town Supervisor, and other town departments. Supervisor Kenneth, Justice Court. Oh, sorry. Oops. Okay. Is at the top. Resolved that Hugh Davies
Resolved that Hugh Davies
is reappointed to the part-time position of assessor, civil service number 1025, non-competitive, at the salary of $31,518, and that the minimum hours be 1,040 per annum, scheduled as needed seasonally for such position. Budget code A1025 for $31,518. Resolved that Arthur Abbott is reappointed to the full-time position of police chief, civil service number 1470, competitive, at the salary of $35,000. Budget code B3120 for $35,000. Resolved that the wage rates of bargaining unit employees in the police department are as negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement with Teamster Local 445. And I guess that there will be a link.
Yes, the CBA is for the collective bargaining agreement. And just to be clear, we are in negotiations for a new contract. So that hopefully will be resolved soon.
Okay, resolved that the employee to be appointed later to the part-time position of animal/dog control officer, civil service 1020, non-competitive, is at the annual salary of $8,221. Budget code A3510 for $8,221.
You're doing great. You still got more in you? Got more gas in the tank?
Yeah, sure. Justice
Okay,
Court.
great. Thank you.
Being a reading teacher comes in handy sometimes. Justice Court. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that Claire Squilini be reappointed with the advice and consent of the town justices to the full-time position of clerk to town justice, civil service number 1175, exempt at the hourly rate of $29.38 per hour for 35 hours per week, 1,820 hours annually. Budget code A1110 for $53,477.58. Resolved that Patricia Marsh be reappointed with the advice and consent of the town justices to the part-time position of clerk to town justice, civil service number 1175, exempt at the hourly rate of $23.31 per hour for 28 hours per week, 1,456 hours annually. Budget code A1110 for $33,937.44. Resolved that Barbara Ginley is reappointed to the part-time position of Assistant Court Clerk, Civil Service number 1052, non-competitive, at the hourly rate of $20.06 per hour for 15 hours per week, 780 hours annually. Budget code A1110 for $15,649.86.
Excellent, Maria.
Thank you. Somebody else want to take over?
That's what I was going to ask for, a volunteer. Michelle Lindsay is a wonderful read aloud person.
Okay. For the elected officials, Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that the yearly salaries be approved as stated for the following town officials. Supervisor Kenneth English, $37,593, term ending 12/31/2021. Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay, $12,395, term ending 12/31/2023. Town Board Member David McMillan, $7,395, term ending 12/31/2021. Town Board Member Maria May, $7,395, term ending 12/31/2023. Town Board Member Jay Reichcott, $7,395, term ending 12/31/2021. Town Clerk Tax Collector Marissa Dolbaum, $60,000, term ending 12/31/2021. Highway Superintendent Robert Dolbaum, $95,660, term ending 12/31/2023. Town Justice Sean Brown, $27,344, term ending 12/31/2021. Town Justice Elise McCathern, $27,344, term ending 12/31/2022. Okay, boards. Resolved that the annual salaries of the planning board chairman and 6 members are as indicated below, and that John Banyo is appointed as chair of the planning board, and that such board be comprised of the following individuals through the term expiration dates indicated as per Chapter 16 of the Town Code, Article 5, Section 16-22, or until a successor is appointed. John Banyo, $6,344.40, term expiring 12/31/2023. Deirdre Murphy, $2,880.48, term expiring 12/31/2021. Darren Maynard, $2,880.48, term expiring 12/31/2022. Michael Reardon, 2,880.48 cents, term expiring 12/31/2023. Chris Casker, $2,880.48, term expiring 12/31/2024. Donald Gould, 2,880.48 cents, term expiring 12/31/2024. William Friedlich, $2,880.48, and his term is a holdover.
So to clarify, the holdover position means that his term expired on December 31st, 2020. As per town policies, we are advertising for that position and, of course, extend an invitation for William Friedlich to apply as well. And hopefully the town board can finalize that position appointment as soon as possible. Well, we'll be targeting the next meeting, but might not be completely done with the interviews and the outreach for that position. But we thank, we call him Bill for his service, and yes, he's still active on our board. Moving forward, I'll give you a breath there, Michelle, and then we'll pass the baton again. Resolved that the salaries of the Zoning Board of Appeals, also known as the ZBA, chairman and 4 members are as indicated below, and that Francis Peverly is holdover as chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that such board be comprised of the following individuals through the term expiration dates indicated or until a successor is appointed. Francis Peverly, $1,744.20. Again, his term holdover from 12/31. Andrew Rogers, $1,260.72. Term ends December 31st, 2021. George Langberg III, same rate of pay. For all these board members, term ends December 2023. Mark Citron, same pay, term 12/31/2024, and Russell Shaver, same rate of pay, term December 2024. So we do hope to resolve the holdover issue very soon, and we thank Francis Beverly for his. We just need to move forward with the conversation with Frank, and I think Michelle Lindsay, you're kind of organizing that effort so that we could get that resolved as soon as possible.
Yes.
Thank you. Similar issue with the Board of Assessment Review. Below, resolve the salaries of the Board of Assessment Review chairman and 4 members are as indicated below, and that Edward Brennan from Laurel Ridge. I know we have 2 Edward Brennans. Hold over as the chair of the Board of Assessment Review, and that such board be comprised of the following individuals through the term expiration dates indicated as per real property tax law, section 523C, or until a successor is appointed. So again, we tried to educate as well as to why these terms need to be more in alignment with September because of real property tax law. So we have some corrections to do along the way. Part of that is because the activity for this board, I believe, is in April. Maybe Howard could clarify that, but it's not a typical flow of calendar year. So please go ahead, Howard. Thank you.
Yeah, the Board of Assessment Review picks up from any tax grievances that are filed in May, and basically does their work between the beginning of April and usually the beginning of June, and then they're pretty much done by that period of time.
So part of the appointment is also built around the required training, and those dates are only offered certain times of the year. So I'm not clear whether the law specifically states the termination date of these appointments, but I do know that it's also in relation to these trainings and the seasonal nature of this work. So just wanted to explain that. And we're trying to memorialize the things that we've learned here so that future boards don't have to go through the extensive work that we've done over the last month. I can't tell you, dozens and dozens of hours have gone into refining this document. Our goal is to have a template that each successive town reorg can really just change the numbers and names and move forward, and also make it clear to anybody who's looking at this process how it's connected to our town law, our town budget, civil service, and all state requirements for and who's responsible for appointing these different jobs, whether they be elected officials or what civil service requirements for people to hold these jobs, or if they're appointed, how they get to that point. All right, I'm going to continue to move forward. Resolved that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, whose members serve without compensation, be comprised of individuals to be appointed by the town board later in 2021. So that whole board needs to be reconstituted. Professional services. Maria May, did you take a sip of your water, and can you continue?
Sure. Professional services. Resolved that Jacobowitz and Gubitz LLP is appointed as attorney for the town, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional service agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that H2M, Holzmacher, McLeod and Merle, and Fusco Engineering and Land Surveying PC are appointed as engineers for the town of Tuxedo, and that payment for their services be pursuant to the professional service agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that Michael Richardson is appointed as municipal consultant for workforce planning and labor relations, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional service agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that Andrew Arias with Cooper Arias LLP is appointed as town auditor to review financial reports on a monthly basis, prepare the annual update document, and assist in accounting and financial matters which arise from the fiscal year 2021, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional services agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that Richard Golden of Burke, Mealy, Golden, and Naughton is appointed as legal counsel to the planning board, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional services agreement of 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that Richard Golden of Burke, Mealy, Golden, and Naughton is appointed as legal counsel to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional services agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that Nelson Pope Voorhees is appointed as town planner, and that payment for services be pursuant to the professional service agreement for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk. Resolved that the Town of Tuxedo Historical Society is appointed as town historian, and that payment for services be pursued to the contract for service for 2021, which is to be on file with the town clerk.
Thank you, Maria. So all of these professional services agreements, as mentioned, will be linked on our town website when we have the digital version of this on our website. All those will be active hyperlinks. So if you wanted to see these professional services agreements, that would be very easy. You won't have to hunt. You'll click on the hyperlink, which is most people know is highlighted with a blue usually, and take you right to these documents. And all the details of the fees and schedules will be right there for everyone to see, and which should make, again, our work moving forward. With any of these reorgs, all the documents will be easily accessible digitally in one place, and anybody who seeks the details of these arrangements, a click of the mouse. So a lot of work getting this together. Town board meetings and notices. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that the regular bi-monthly town board meetings be held on the second and fourth Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. at the town hall, and when circumstances deem it desirable, be held at other location or other parts of town. Should a meeting date fall on an observed holiday, the meeting will be held on the Wednesday of that week. That's a change. It used to say Tuesday, but it's come to our attention through experience that Tuesdays is often had a conflict with the planning board meetings, and so that created a problem. So if anybody from the town board sees any issue with that, Michelle and I wanted to change it to Wednesday so we would never have that conflict again. Does anybody on this town board seem to have a conflict? Somebody joked and said, does anybody play poker on Wednesday night? Well, I guess, it's only when the meeting had to be moved from a Monday holiday. It shouldn't happen very often, but, Jay, does that interfere with any regularly scheduled thing in your life on Wednesday? For me, no. No.
No.
Okay. Okay, so then we're going to move forward. Resolved that the Times Herald Record be named the official newspaper of the town of Tuxedo for the calendar year 2021. We do need a daily paper for that official newspaper, so the photo news would not be meet that need. Human Resources. Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganization meeting resolution to move their adoption. Resolved that the town board hereby enacts the attached compensation and benefits manual, which updates the manual issued November 1st, 2017. Would anybody possibly have a link that we could just show really briefly what that manual looks like?
I might be able to.
Let's see.
Okay, I don't want. I hear several clicks going on over there. Michelle, are you clicking away, or would Maria? What do you want?
Hold on.
You're getting it? Okay.
I'm looking.
Very good. All I want to do is just show maybe a quick look at the table of contents, just to show the depth of the document. This is an official document that every employee that falls under this document needs to sign.
I have it.
I have it, but I don't know if Jay needs to stop sharing so I can share it, or Maria.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you probably need to stop.
I'm clicking share, but it's not coming up.
Okay. And then, Jay, we're going to come back to you once we take a peek at this manual.
Can't you let Jay finish and then go to that?
Let Jay finish?
No, we're just gonna, it's too long at this point. You just want to, we're not going to go
No, we're
through
not going
this.
through this manual. No, we're not. So thank you for the suggestion. Okay, so you can see this manual talks about general purposes, management rights, procedures for filling vacancies, civil service, oath of office, personnel file, probation, rules of conduct, et cetera, operational policies, the hours of operation for town hall, emergency situations, deals with things like meal and rest periods, time records, expense reimbursement, supplies, tools, and equipment.
Mary,
I'd like-
can you mute your, Mary, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to twist
Yeah.
again, but not right now. Operational policies, reimbursement, use of computer systems, internet, political literature, et cetera, et cetera. You could keep going down. Thank you, Michelle. Absence policies. So I don't need to show you everything, but if you haven't guessed already, the details of this really firmly establish what's expected and what the rights of every employee is. And so this really professionalizes our work environment. And this is something that is absolutely going to be formalized and is by this document. Again, if we were to look at the last page of these documents, it has a sign sheet where every employee needs to sign, which acknowledges that they've read it and understand and will abide by what these manuals require. So we just looked at the employment practices manual. I'm not even going to open the other manual, which is the compensation and benefits. Similar, these manuals will be on our website maybe as soon as tomorrow, and they've been distributed to all employees. And we will be holding a workshop to go over these policies with employees, so we can all be together and understand what they mean and be able to ask any questions. So I'll be scheduling that within the next 2 weeks, probably on a Friday. So we're back to our reorg resolution. We're reading about the compensation and benefits manual. Again, similarly, the town board hereby enacts the attached employment practices compliance manual, which updates the manual issued on November 1st, 2017. And again, those manuals will all be linked to this document and available on our website. Resolved that the standard work week for town hall is 5 days per week, Monday through Friday, during which a 35-hour employee is to work 5 7-hour days, excluding meal periods. A 30-hour employee is to work 5 6-hour days, excluding meal periods. And an employee scheduled to work less than 30 hours per week is to disperse their work hours throughout the 5-day work week as assigned by the department head. As I mentioned earlier, this will officially bring us back to 5 days service. Resolved that the standard workday is as specified in the schedule of standard workdays as updated and filed with the town clerk for elected and appointed officials, and such days worked will be reported to the New York State and local employees retirement system based on the record of activities maintained and submitted by those officials to the town clerk and/or official time cards completed and submitted to the office of the town supervisor. Those are required in order to document hours for retirement benefits and by state audit. So time cards are required. Resolved that the holidays listed below will be observed on the day designated by the town board at its organizational meeting in January each year. And those are the list of the holidays. I'm not going to read them. Resolved that employees be paid on a biweekly basis. This is our standard procedure. That payroll begins Monday, 12 o'clock, and ends 14 calendar days later. An employee's paycheck is based on the amount earned during the preceding payroll period. Certain employees may be paid on a different schedule as established by the town board. Under normal circumstances, paychecks are issued on the Friday following the end of the payroll period. In the event that payday is a designated holiday, paychecks are distributed on the previous workday. Resolved that the mileage reimbursement for personal car usage for town business is 58 cents per mile for 2021 to be adjusted as promulgated by the IRS. That's a standard rate that's just viewed from the IRS website. Finance, Supervisor Kenneth English offered the following reorganizational meeting resolutions and moved their adoption. Resolved that J.P. Morgan Chase is appointed as the official depository for checking and savings accounts for the town of Tuxedo for the calendar year 2021 with the following accounts. And you could read those. Resolved that Sterling National Bank is appointed as an additional official depository for the town of Tuxedo for the calendar year 2021. That was page 8 of 10, so we're almost there, guys. Resolved that the town supervisor and the account clerk in the office of the town supervisor are authorized to make withdrawals from the bank accounts at J.P. Morgan Chase and Sterling National Bank, and that the town clerk is authorized to make transfers for BAN payments, and that the town supervisor and the account clerk in the office of the town supervisor are authorized to transfer funds among the town accounts. Resolved that the town supervisor and the account clerk in the office of the town supervisor are authorized to make payment for payroll, medical insurance, dental insurance, vision plans, retirement plans, workers' compensation, gas, electric, telephone, cellular telephone, cable service for internet access, water postage, express mail, garbage contract, and debt service without prior audit by the town board. Resolved that all official undertakings and bonds by the officers, clerks, and employees of the town of Tuxedo may be in the form of a blanket undertaking from National Union Fire Insurance Company, a duly authorized corporate surety, and said blanket undertaking shall indemnify the town of Tuxedo against the loss of the type more particularly set forth in Article 2, Section 11 of Public Officers Law, and shall constitute a guarantee for elected and appointed officials, officers, employees of the town of Tuxedo for the faithful performance of their duties and the prompt and proper account for paying over all money received by said employees in their official capacities. Resolved that the town investment policy, originally adopted on May 11, 1994, a copy of which is annexed hereto, is reaffirmed as the town's official investment policy for the fiscal year 2021. Note that town board is to review and update this policy later in 2021. I propose that we resolve this no later than the end of February. So we'll have our reading scheduled real soon. Almost finished now. Resolved that the town procurement policy, as updated by amendment adopted on March 1st, 2011, a copy of which is annexed hereto, is reaffirmed as the town's official procurement policy for the fiscal year 2021. Note, again, the town board is to review and update this policy later in 2021. And I can assure you that all of these documents are following New York State Comptroller's Office guidelines for these policies. Resolved that the town credit card use policy, originally adopted September 26, 2011, a copy of which is annexed here too, is reaffirmed by the town's official credit card use policy for the fiscal year 2021. Again, note the town board is to review and update this policy later in 2021. And our last page is basically town fees. Resolved that the annual parking permit fee for the resident-only municipal parking lot at the train station is $178, and the annual permit fee for non-resident parking at such lot is $228, plus applicable taxes. I think those were fees we raised fairly recently, so they are a bit marked up from about a year ago. Resolved that the rental fee for a non-affiliated town group is $50 per use, and resolved that the rental fee for the use of the train station is $75 per 1 hour meeting slot, or $250 for a private party. So we're at the end there, and I'd just like to say that, as I've said, I think this is a very comprehensive document that links together all the associated documents that will be linked both literally and figuratively through this document, so that the connections and the access to these documents will be seamless. So I'll leave this to the town board to make comment, and then we'll move towards approval, adoption.
Would you like a second? Would you like a second?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adopt these resolutions. But of course, we want to have a discussion before we move forward with that. So I start with you, Michelle.
No, I know how much work went into this, and I think it's, we're in better compliance with civil service law. So I think that's a great thing. And I like the way everything's been linked, so it'll be very easy for people to check things as they want. The only thing, we hadn't received all the professional services agreements. So I don't know that whole section, if we want to just do that at the next meeting.
Most of them have been received. We haven't changed any of our professional service vendors. All of the agreements have a clause to terminate. So I don't think we're in any danger. I'd let Howard opine on that if he's available. I don't see him on the screen. And Jay, I think you wanted to make a comment, so why don't you go first?
That's what I was going to say. Every one of our consultants is going to remain the same, and the agreements are effectively the same. We just need this year's version with the, whatever 1.5% increase in fees or whatever it is.
Some of them are exactly flat. Most of them are flat, actually.
Flat is even better. And yeah, I would approve it now, and we can always revise our consultants by resolution later if we need to.
Okay. All right. I just didn't know if we needed them all in place. And then the other thing was when we were considering changes to the park regulations and uses, I thought we had talked about increasing those fees, but we can also do that, I am assuming, by resolution.
Yes. I'm sorry, somebody was speaking. I'll let them. Maybe it was
I'm fine to adopt it now, and then just, if we review the park use and park uses and regulations and fees, we could just change them later.
Exactly.
That's all my only comments.
Just my only comment is that this is a Herculean task, like Carolyn said, right? So it's great to see the clarity of, and the transparency of all the positions and how we are complying with civil service rules. So this was really great. And definitely we'll put it in the website. I'll talk to you about what's the best place to put it, but we'll definitely put it in.
Yeah, I just want to mention the fact that what you've accomplished has been a Herculean task, as evidenced by the fact that over the past many years, it's taken the board months to get through its reorganization process. And you've organized this in a way that's seemingly going to enable you to get it done in one meeting. And you all deserve congratulations for that.
Thanks, but I got to say it was Ken and Michelle who did a good bit of the heavy lifting.
Well, thank you, Jay. I definitely would be remiss if our consultant, Michael Richardson, I can tell you is a real HR pro, and he's working with us also in our PBA contract negotiations. And I wish he was on the call right now, but I was trying to save us a few consulting dollars. He's been working very hard with me and Michelle and other members of the town board, Marissa, Brian, and so he'll definitely be doing some presentations for our town. again, trying to be mindful of the hours as much as possible, but it wouldn't have been possible. He's the chief author of these manuals, and we updated them and reviewed them. And so big hats off to Michael and everyone who really contributed to this. So just want to hear if there's any further comment. Otherwise, we will move to the adoption vote.
Just a question, Ken.
Please go ahead.
I don't have any comment. So obviously with aligning with civil service more strictly, we've created some positions which may have been separated or created new positions, and they're described in this document where that exists as TBD, to be determined.
Right.
What is your timeline to fill those roles, and how soon can we expect to see job descriptions and postings for those jobs on the website?
So there's one job in particular. Civil service law states that no one person can inhabit two different positions. And in the case of the recreation coordinator and the secretary to the supervisor, that was the case. And that we were advised by civil service to remedy pretty much right away. And the recreation coordinator position by itself would have been a very small part-time position. Obviously, most of that work is seasonal in the summer, and the other events that we have, such as Family Fun Day and some of the holiday type things, Halloween, Christmas tree lighting, those kind of events. It's obviously a small job when it stands by its own. So small towns try to cobble certain jobs together. I understand the strategy, and that was done years ago, probably under a less level of scrutiny. Small towns sometimes can fly under a radar, and I'm not alluding that anything nefarious happened. It's just how small towns tend to operate sometimes. Well, civil service is much stricter, and the hiring process, the job description, we're not allowed to make up any titles. And so it became really apparent when I was trying to start this reorg that we needed to be in complete compliance. So probably off on a tangent a little bit, Dave, but it was determined that the rec coordinator couldn't possibly be associated with the town supervisor secretary. And so we petitioned Orange County Civil Service because we do have some. I don't know if everybody's hearing that noise, but.
I'm here.
Time to mute some folks.
I'm trying to mute everybody. Okay, Ken. I think the only way I was able to do that is to not enable people to unmute themselves. So now I know you're muted. I know. You can't, I know. You can't, I know. Hold on. Okay, I sent you a request to unmute yourself. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
That was the only way to accomplish that.
I'd like to add to the reorg the extremely developing skills of Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay, and you managed that one pretty well there. I'll try to finish my winded statement here, Dave, that that one position couldn't be married to anything else other than a clerical position, and we are expecting a formalization of that job description tomorrow, and that's why it's listed in this reorg as pending. And then as soon as we have that straight, the town board will meet to discuss how we fill that position.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Good question. Needed to be answered. So I think that one item did spell out a pathway to resolve. And so I would like to I think I made a motion to carry these resolutions forward. If there's any further discussion, I'll certainly pause. I don't know if you want to give the old high sign. Okay.
Okay, wait, Maria's having a hard time unmuting herself. Hold on. Okay, Jay, if you stop, I don't think we need that screen now, and then I'll be able to find Maria on the tiles. Where is she? Okay. Okay, Maria, I sent you something now that will allow you to unmute yourself.
Yeah, got it.
And Howard, I'll send you the same. Okay, I think everybody can unmute themselves now. Jay, can you?
I can, but I don't want to.
Okay. I think we're good.
All right. So I think I made a motion. Was it seconded? I'll read it again just to be sure. Sorry, Michelle, go ahead. You did? You seconded it?
I thought I did, but I'll second.
I think so too, but I'll read it again. The adoption of the foregoing resolutions was seconded by Town Board Member or Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay and to be put to a vote on roll call, which resulted as follows. So I'll just take the vote. I'll start with myself because that's how it reads. Supervisor Kenneth English, aye. Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay.
Aye, hooray.
Town Board Member David McMillan.
Aye.
Town Board Member Maria May.
Aye.
Town Board Member Jay Reichcott.
Aye.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you, everybody. As Howard said, we're starting off 2021, I think, with a bang. And all of these documents will be linked. That's just a compilation of a list of things that will be linked to this. And thank you. Let me see on our packet what else we have to do here tonight.
Well, the next item is department updates. I believe
We
there is
accomplished that already.
joined, yeah.
I think we accomplished that.
And public comments.
Okay. You want to manage that, Michelle?
I'll try.
Yeah,
Okay, let's see what I'll try to allow participants to unmute themselves.
There was some public comments in the chat.
Maria, would you like to read the comments in the chat?
Me?
Yeah, would you like to?
Sure. Says, thank you to the town board for all the, this is from Irene Denaro. Thank you to the town board for all the work you have been doing on this issue and other town issues. Then this is from Dale. She asks, is it allowed that an individual hold a government position in Tuxedo Park as well as a board position on the town? Jay answered yes, provided that there is no conflict or conflict of interest between the two positions. Carolyn Kelly said this was a Herculean task. Thank you, one and all. Irene said, I do not understand or believe how the town did business. How is it possible not to have followed civil service law?
I'd like to address that if I can. I wouldn't want to imply that we weren't following civil service law. I could see how a small town could get out of compliance with some of these things over many years. So I've seen nothing but cooperation from everybody working here to get it in total alignment. So we're trying not to look backwards because mistakes happen and things veer slowly off course. That's how I would describe it, Irene. And so that's my response.
So Carolyn Kelly said, bravo. And Dale Matola says, I'd like to make a comment.
Okay, so we could have her microphone open. That would be fine.
Looks like it is. Okay, Dale, you're unmuted. You're unmuted, but your volume's a little low. If you could increase your volume. You probably have to change your volume on your computer.
Or get closer to the microphone.
Is that any better?
A little better. If you can get as close as possible to your microphone, that might help. Over.
Yeah, I have headphones on that I've never tried before, so probably part of the problem. Can you hear me now?
A little bit. I can hear you, so I'll repeat it if I can for people who can't.
I'd like to make the recommendation that the train station get some attention, hopefully within this year, as far as maintenance goes. Jerry and I were taking down the Christmas decorations that the chamber provides this past weekend, and there's siding needs some redo, not refinishing, not replacement.
Yeah, you're talking about the train station, right?
Yes.
The main train station. Okay, just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
I could repeat. I heard her pretty clearly. Dale's comment was her and Jerry were over at the train station removing train decorations and noticed the need for improvements and restoration. I couldn't agree more. Michelle and I have been discussing this. We will absolutely be looking for funding to get that done, both possibly through the LDC or through town funding. Definitely needs a paint job, and there is some damage on the back of the building where water runs off the roof and splashes off the concrete and has rotted some wood back there. So we definitely are going to get some contractors in there to give us an assessment. But yeah, that's our iconic building that millions of dollars were invested in and refurbishing. And yeah, that's a top priority. So thank you. I guarantee you that will not fall by the wayside.
May I add something to that? I was thinking too, we noticed that when we were taking pictures, is that the vegetation around it is, in some of the sides, is so big that it doesn't allow the building. So perhaps, working on paring it down a little bit so we can see the beautiful building behind it.
I agree.
Plus, when there's vegetation too close to a building, it just helps with the water moisture levels, and that's a lot of wood there, and yeah, not good. So that'll go along with that. Thank you, Dale. Any other comment? That was a great way. Dale mentions it's our jewel. We don't want it to deteriorate. I'm sure there's unanimous opinion from the board, and I would imagine every resident. It is our jewel. I would describe it the same way. If anybody else wanted to make a comment, if you put it in the chat, it does make it a lot easier to identify.
I did allow the attendees to unmute themselves. So
guess who did? Hi, Sal.
Hi, Emily.
I'm sorry. Okay. To Councilperson Wright Scott Jay, thank you very much for your report. It is very encouraging. You're on it. But I did have a question. It got a little blurry when you said the second part of your statement. First of all, the emergency plan is not finalized. Okay, so we're still on this. And the second part was when you will accept it, if it, and then it got very blurry. And I didn't get the rest of it.
Okay, sorry. We will not accept a plan that assigns any responsibility or liability to the town.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. Fantastic. There is one other little issue happening in Tuxedo, by the way, which I'm sure you're all aware of, that the bank is leaving. So a town of Tuxedo without a bank, I actually bank a lot in New York at Citibank. I told them today that there's this beautiful building that's going to be empty. I mean, not that you want Citibank. I don't know. But has the board put that out to banks, generally speaking? That's just a question.
Has the board? Go ahead, Michelle. You can talk about that.
No, I just want to clarify the question. Have we contacted Chase? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, it would be great if Chase could stay there, but they're closing.
Right.
They have notified all the people, you know, with safety deposit boxes and counts, et cetera, to clear up things, and that's it. It's over. So, have you put out the word to other banks, possibly to come in here?
Well, I think that I would
have-
imagine first and foremost, I'm not sure who owns the building. You can assume it's Chase, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
We need to check to see who actually owns the building, and we could certainly send them a letter from the town board just saying, you know, obviously we hope this building is inhabited as soon as possible, and what are your plans for the building? I don't know if anybody else from the town board wants to opine on that.
No, I'd like, that's what I'd like to do. They're already temporarily closed, so I went to try and talk to somebody. There's nobody there anymore.
There's somebody named Jim Fuka, something like that. I called the bank, Chase Bank, up in Monroe, because that's one of the places we can have security boxes. You know, that's just one of the places. Suffern and Monroe. Anyway, there's somebody in charge of closing up the boxes. His last name is Fuka, F-U-C-A. He might be a good person to contact through the Chase Bank in Monroe.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll commit to checking
the
with
woman in charge. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say I'll commit to contacting our assessor to find out, you know, who's the owner of record of the building. Again, I can assume it's Chase, but that's just an assumption. And try to get in contact. You know, I'm sure whoever owns the building doesn't want it to sit vacant. That's not a moneymaker. And so,
oh yeah, that's true. That's
they're not going to want it to sit. That's a landmark building, and I mean, a bank could be the replacement. I'm not sure what it was before it was a bank, but maybe somebody else knows.
Church? I don't know.
Well, it was before it was Bank of New York. I don't know. Before it was Chase, it was Bank.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Bank of New York, right? Yeah.
Right.
But
That
if you
church
want,
was always a bank.
yeah, I mean, we should just call him. If you want to call him, I have his number, Ken.
Okay, let's do that.
Oh.
I'll work with you, Dave, on that.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Something can happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's really be hopeful for that. Whether it's a bank or a cute little cafe.
Well, a small town without a bank is, you know,
yep,
pretty serious. So, anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mary, you had a comment, but it looked like it was a response. So I didn't know if you wanted to.
No, I was not trying to comment.
Oh, okay.
All right. I think no further comments. So we're going to move to, I think we've covered everything. And,
No, we have budget modifications.
oh, yes, please. Yes. Move that forward, Michelle.
So I'd just like to make a motion to accept the budget modifications as presented to the town board. Do I have a second?
Second, Ken English.
Discussion?
Comments? I make a comment. These mods were submitted to the town board for review over the last week, and I'm satisfied. I reviewed them.
Yeah.
I don't have any further comment.
I'm satisfied. I went over them with Michelle.
No concerns here.
Sorry, say again, Dave?
No concerns here.
Yeah, I have no concerns. I'd just like to point out for everyone following at home, these modifications don't change the budget. Let me rephrase that. They move money around between accounts to balance the accounts, but the total monies in and out don't change.
Right. That's a good way to describe
For
it.
those of you who believe that, you know, money in different pockets, this is moving money from different pockets. Still the same pair of pants.
And exactly. Thank you. That was a good, concise explanation. So that's the end of the comment, I believe. So ready to take a roll call vote.
Okay,
Michelle, if you'd like to do that, please.
sure. I made the motion. Ken English,
Aye.
Jay Reichgott,
Aye.
Maria May,
Aye.
and Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay, aye. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm sure Brian is eyeing right now. No, he needs these to move forward. So, and we will. These aren't the final, by the way. It's not closing the books entirely, but it's closing out December, and I think this is
It's actually through November.
through November. Okay.
And with good estimates from Brian on December. So,
Right.
but there certainly will be budget modifications, right,
Right.
Brian? Yes, he's nodding.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes. Was there anything else, Michelle, on my packet? I'm not seeing anything, but I know we've been.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, well, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. A lot of hard work has gone on in the last year, and I think we're off to a great start in 2021. And I'd just like to say I hope the spirit of Tuxedo of working together continues. I'm confident that it will. I think the national tragedy that happened over this past week is not something that would be evident here in Tuxedo. I think we're all trying to work together and live up to our oath to protect the Constitution and the will of the people. And so I pray for our elected officials and that they have the strength and wisdom to bring us through these dark times that we're experiencing. And I hope that locally we could all pledge to live to the words of our Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge to do my best for this town. And thank you for your services and for all the people who come out to these meetings. That's what's going to keep our country moving forward, civic engagement and civil dialogue. Thank you.
Amen.
Well said.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to pass. I think Maria enjoyed the last time I asked her to run the adjournment, and it's a distinct honor, and I would pass that to Maria May.
Okay. So I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
At 9:04.
Oh, at 9:04.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
I don't think there's any discussion.
The discussion?
I think
So,
this is the discussion.
Okay, so let's see. Let's take a roll call. Councilman McMillan,
Aye.
Jay Reichgott,
I don't know. Based on last meeting, I booked until 11 o'clock, so I don't know what to do with myself now. Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay,
Aye.
Supervisor Ken English,
Aye.
and myself, Maria May. Aye. We are adjourned.
Great job. Thank you, everybody. Good night, Chief. I see the Chief. Good night, Brian. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, Dave. Michelle, thanks for your hard work.
Sure. Thank you.
Ken, let's talk about, whoops. Talk about when, where we want to put this documents, but we'll talk about it later.
Michelle.